Hi everyone, you're listening to the Health and Wellbeing podcast. I'm Alison Mitchell, a practicing naturopath, and you can find me on naturopathnsw.com.au. Today I'll be talking about stress and the nervous system. These podcasts will feature discussions on various health conditions, health tips, and nutrition from a naturopathic perspective. Sometimes it's just me, sometimes I'm interviewing guests. All the time I hope to share with you information on health and wellbeing with the aim to empower and educate. Please remember that all information is general and not a specific recommendation that replaces consulting with a practitioner. Please talk to your healthcare practitioner before undertaking any changes to your treatment regime. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about stress and the nervous system. Today I'm joined with Laura. She's a clinical naturopath practicing in St Leonards and Dural. Her key areas of interest are female hormone disorders, digestive health, stress and adrenal fatigue. Through her clinical experience, Laura has identified the prevalence of stress in our everyday lives and sees it as the most common cause or exacerbating factor of her patients' health conditions. Laura believes that we need to get back to basics and work on our ability to release and manage stress in order to prevent and treat disease. Last year, Laura set herself the mission to reach beyond the walls of her clinics and send her de-stress message out to Australia and New Zealand households through the Burton Health Tea Club. Each month she sends love letters and tea packages to her members to inject joy and excitement into their days and to remind them to slow down, relax and reconnect while sipping on a cup of organic herbal tea. I must say I do love your teas, Laura.
Oh, good. Thank you. Me too.
The tea club's been going for a while now, hasn't it? Roughly how many members do you have?
At the moment, I've got 10. It goes up and down, obviously, when people's memberships expire and getting new people started. My aim is to get it to 100 and then keep it at 100. I want to keep it quite exclusive and manageable, so I don't want it to get out of control. I do handwrite the love letters that go in the tea club, so I don't want to make it too much of an effort for myself. You know, I want to still enjoy it. I love doing it, and I want to bring joy to other people, but also to myself through doing it. So yeah, at the moment 10, but set to grow.
I think that's a really good number considering how long you've been going for, and then you've also got the ability to buy tea just on a one-off basis as well.
That's right. Yeah. So through the clinics or online, people can buy the individual bags of tea as well. So yeah, if they're not ready to commit to the tea club, then they still can enjoy the tea.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your favourite blend that you've got?
Oh, it's so hard. Every time someone buys one, I go to say to them, "Oh, that's my favourite," and then I go, "Actually, they're all my favourites. I can't choose." I really love the beauty blend just because every sense is kind of covered. You know, it smells delicious, it looks beautiful, and then it works on making you beautiful. And also the tea stress blend. So the one, it's quite appropriate for today, but the one that's for stress, that's probably my biggest seller, that's one of the things that made me realise how big stress is. When the tea stress just kept on getting sold out, I thought, hang on a minute, something's going on here. And yeah, I love, they're both the really floral ones. So the tea stress tastes like lavender, and the beauty is like rose. So I really like the floral flavours.
Yeah, I've been drinking your maternity tea. And every time I do it, I go, maternity.
Yeah. So it just makes me, I just love it. I love the play on words. It just makes me laugh. And some of them I've actually made the blend up around the name. Like we've come up with the name, like the after party. So it's a bit of a recovery tea. And that was just based on the name. I just thought the name was so funny, it had to be made.
I definitely admire that skill. I'd be so bad at coming up with names.
I've got friends messaging me all the time. People who are like, I can't stop thinking of names, and they're always messaging names through to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I've enlisted a few helpers.
That's good. So what else have you been up to?
The tea club is when I'm not in clinic, that's kind of the thing that takes over my life. So making new blends, and this week I've just been sending out the latest tea club parcel, so it goes out in the first week of the month. So wrapping presents and getting that all up to the post office, and yeah, just working away in the clinic. Really, that's the that's it in my life at the moment.
Fair enough.
And you've got your stress talk coming up this week.
Yes, that's on this Saturday at Windsor at the Short Order Long Black Cafe where the last ones have been. So I'm really excited for that. And we've had a few more ticket purchases happening. So I'm thinking it'll be getting close to sold out by the time that it actually happens. So it's going to be basically similar to what we're talking about today. You're talking about how stress is affecting the body and then ways that you can manage stress in your everyday life, and similar to what you're going to be helping out with today, as well as the talking about mindfulness techniques and meditation techniques and all those sorts of things that you can do just to sort of knock stress on the head when it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Stress is just such a major issue for so many people, isn't it? And what I find is that people don't actually recognise the role that stress has in their health issues, because we just don't recognise that stress to be as much of an issue, or people are kind of getting in a bit of a denial about stress as well. So they almost don't really understand what stress is.
Yeah. Yeah. You ask your patients, are you stressed? And they look at you and go, no.
Yeah, or they say, well, I know that there's plenty of people that have it worse than me, so I'm not stressed in comparison to that.
Yeah, and downplaying that, that's not really important. It's what's going on for you right now. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world or with other people. It's what's happening in your life.
Yeah, and then there's all these everyday types of bits of stress and things that like illness and physical stress and overexercise. These are all sorts of forms of stress that people don't actually understand is going to be affecting your body in your stress levels and your other hormones and all of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I recently had to ask a patient to stop exercising for a little while. And she found that a struggle, to actually rest and to do things a little bit slower.
It's hard to get your head around, isn't it? But particularly for people with adrenal fatigue, you get told that exercise is going to give you more energy, but if you've got adrenal fatigue, then exercise is going to make you worse. Yeah. Especially if you're doing that high intensity form of exercise. Like if you're just doing a nice gentle yoga, that's going to be fine. Whereas you've got all these hot yoga classes happening, not so great.
Yeah, exactly. And often the high intensity people it's hard to get their head around doing yoga. It's hard to get them to think of yoga as exercise, because they often think of yoga as luxury, or they don't yet see the value in it.
Yeah, or they say, I get bored.
Yes.
It's like, that's the point.
Yes. That's it's quite. It's really fun sometimes, the reactions you get from people in clinic.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's good. It keeps it interesting.
So, stress can affect our mood, and it can also affect how our hormones are working as well. And one of the main things that I find is that sometimes when you've got stress, it's not affecting your hormones, but it's just causing a bit of an imbalance in your nervous system to begin with. But it's all interconnected, and you can have both going on as well. So today I want to talk about a bit of both, nervous system imbalances and stress issues with the hormonal side to that, being adrenal fatigue. So in our nervous system, we've got the parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically our relaxation state. And then we've got our sympathetic nervous system, which is the one that's activated more so when we're stressed. One of the things is you might notice when you get stressed, that's when you get all the sweating. And it's often because our sweat glands, it's because it has that sympathetic nervous system attached to the end of it. So we've got all these different neurotransmitters involved in our mood, and different imbalances in each one can actually cause different mood symptoms as well. So, for instance, serotonin is one that most people know about. It's an inhibitory neurotransmitter, and what that does is it assists in the regulation of our mood, in our sleep, and our eating behaviour. Funnily, though, only 2% of our serotonin actually exists in our brain. The rest is all throughout the body, but predominantly it's in our digestive system. So it really goes to show the importance of having a healthy gut. So serotonin deficiency symptoms that you could get would be things like aggression, bad temper, anxiety, performance anxiety, carbohydrate and alcohol cravings, depression, increased sensitivity to pain, insomnia due to racing thoughts, low self-esteem, headaches, narcolepsy, which is where you would fall asleep really quickly without planning to, and poor dream recall. So it's linked with melatonin. So tweaking your moonlight exposure can be really helpful. Try to get at least 20 minutes of moonlight exposure throughout the night. But if you are depressed, then you may actually need a little bit more. People who do shift works may benefit from vitamin C. And this actually helps to regulate another hormone, another neurotransmitter, histamine, and also using cortisol supporting herbs and trying to get sunlight before the shift starts. Histamine is an excitatory neurotransmitter. It's involved in the release of serotonin and also noradrenaline. It's got an inhibitory role in anxiety, and deficiency symptoms of histamine would be things like anxiety, racing mind, confusion, memory loss, low libido, nausea, and suppressed appetite. We need a lot of vitamin B6, which is important in converting histidine to histamine. Sometimes you can actually get histamine excess, and that's more associated with depression. One of the things that affects the histamine levels is your genetics. So, for instance, there's that whole MTHFR side of things involved, and then if you've got an overmethylation or an undermethylation, then that will determine it. It's kind of hard to get your head around all of these neurotransmitters as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's something that you really do want to see a practitioner about.
Yeah, it's really, I'm very anti people messing around with the brain chemistry themselves. It can be dangerous. So it really is something to do with a trained professional. It's not something you want to mess with.
I think it's histamine in particular that seems to be the key thing at the moment on all the internet blogs that people talk about with the MTHFR, and I'm seeing people come in taking B6 or taking SAMe, and it's like, no, you don't need that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to make you worse.
Yeah. And it is, it's very, very hard to get your head around. So just reading something on a blog doesn't mean that it's for you.
Yeah. You need the blood tests, you need the full case history, and you need someone. Well, personally, I find, because I have a hard time treating myself, I need someone else to come in and sort of look at me objectively.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even for naturopaths, treating yourself isn't a great idea.
Yeah. So some of the other neurotransmitters we've got, so there's GABA.
Yeah.
This is our main inhibitory neurotransmitter. It regulates heaps of our physiological functions, especially in the gastrointestinal tract, and it's found really highly throughout the GI tract as well. It reduces anxiety and insomnia, and deficiency symptoms would be things like anxiety, alcohol cravings, insomnia, panic attacks, trembling, palpitation, cold or clammy hands, which is often when I don't always shake people's hands when they come in, because some people are uncomfortable with that. But sometimes when people do it and I sense that, I'm like, I wonder if there's GABA involvement. That sense of having a lump in the throat, PMS, or carbohydrate cravings. And in people with GABA issues, if they're deficient in B6, then they can't convert their glutamine to GABA. And often what happens is these are the people that get that Chinese food syndrome reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So they react to the MSG a lot, and it's because they just can't get that conversion down that pathway. Things like L-theanine is good for, like, it induces that alpha brainwave activity, which makes you feel relaxed, and it also increases dopamine, serotonin, and the inhibitory neurotransmitter glycine. Then I guess the other main one to go through after that would be dopamine. Which is also an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's involved in the control of movement, emotional response, and ability to experience pleasure and pain. Low levels are associated with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ADD, and high levels are associated with schizophrenia. So deficiency symptoms of dopamine would be things like muscle tightness, stress, mental exhaustion, general fatigue and exhaustion, addictive disorders, decreased memory function, depression, low libido, tremors, and lack of motivation. And then like you've also got things like adenosine as well, which is adenosine is what's involved in that sleep as a different sort of pathway to melatonin. So melatonin controls your rhythms, your sleep rhythms, whereas adenosine controls your sleepiness. And that's how caffeine works. Caffeine binds to the adenosine receptors, and so it stops adenosine from sending out those I'm sleepy signals. So that's why if you have a cup of coffee before you go to bed, you can suppress that. But if your melatonin is actually quite strong, it's not going to work too well for you. And to have healthy, strong melatonin levels, you need to have a really good adrenal health. Hey, so Laura, is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
So as far as what we can do to help the neurotransmitter health, we said you shouldn't be supplementing yourself, but we can help to control that or help to enhance it with our diet. So, basically we want to have a really healthy diet full of amino acids. So the amino acids help to build our neurotransmitters. So things like having good quality protein. Protein's a big one for building healthy neurotransmitters. So things like almonds, pepitas, sesame seeds, cashew nuts, good quality meat. So, good quality grass-fed. I always think of it as happy meat.
Yes.
Eggs, and that includes the egg yolk. So, if you're just having egg whites, we want to put the egg yolk in there as well to get the complete amino acid profile. Fish as well for your good quality protein. So precursors to GABA specifically, meat, protein, cottage cheese is another good one, ricotta, and oats. So, oats are really great for the nervous system health, and it is because they help to get the GABA production going.
And we use oats in herbal medicine a lot as well for nervous system disorders. I like to think of it as being able to unfray the nerve endings.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's such a beautiful herb. And I think it's such, for people that are working in stressful environments or having, know they're having a stressful day, it's such a nice way to start the day with a bowl of oats.
I've been having a lot of porridge lately because it's been so cold.
Yes. Yeah, it's perfect for winter. And the other thing as far as, the digestion of the proteins go is we need to make sure that the digestion is working well. And it's kind of it goes back and forth when it comes with the nervous system, because if we're really stressed, our digestion often doesn't work very well. So the digestion can shut down when we're stressed, and we can underproduce our digestive enzymes to actually break down the proteins. So sometimes we need to take a digestive enzyme to help break down, so that we can break down the amino acids to absorb and create the neurotransmitters.
Yeah, the gut is so important when it comes to mood health and mental health and neurotransmitter health. It's where we make our neurotransmitters. It's where we break down the proteins to do that, and where we get all the nutrients that we need, because each and every step of our neurotransmitter pathway involves a nutrient. So if we're deficient in any one of these because we're not getting it or because we're not absorbing it, then of course the end result is going to be an imbalance in our mental health and our overall health.
Absolutely. Yeah. And vitamin C is also another big one for the neurotransmitters. So vitamin C is, found in high concentration in the adrenals, but also in the nerve endings. So, to go with that protein, maybe a bit of dessert, some kiwi fruit or some papaya, strawberries. They're high in vitamin C. So that's also a really big one for the neurotransmitters.
Great idea.
Yeah. And the B vitamins, like stress B vitamins, we know we need them. So the B vitamins, they're really important to make the neurotransmitters, and when we're stressed we turn them up a lot quicker. So legumes, nuts, leafy greens, you can really get these for, if you're eating a balanced diet, you don't even really need to think about it. If you're eating a natural whole food diet, you're getting everything that you need to make these neurotransmitters, which is nice.
I know. Like, I always think it's when we do talk about diet, if you sort of take a step back, it's not that much rocket science. It's just
eat real food.
Yeah, eat real food.
Yeah, nature is just so smart. It's all there for us.
Yeah, if you eat a variety of food, then you're going to get everything you need if you chew it well. If you don't do stuff to make yourself not absorb it by putting in bad food.
Yeah.
I mean, having said that, there are always ways that you can tweak your diet and things like that. But for the general people out there listening, you don't have to stress too much about it. Have I had my X amount of vitamin C today, or that sort of thing?
Yes.
If you eat your rainbow, then it's all good.
Yep, absolutely. That's right. Yeah. And, I often say to my patients, just don't think about what you can't have. Like, don't think I'm not allowed this and I'm not allowed that. Make sure you eat all the foods that you should be having. And then if you still want something on the, the not so naturopathic list, then you can have it as long as you've had everything else first.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
And I think, and zinc, that's the other one. Zinc and magnesium, they're the other big ones that I was thinking of food-wise. So, again, your leafy greens, your eggs, your nuts and seeds.
Oysters.
Well, yeah. I have to say I'm not getting my zinc from oysters.
Oh, they're my favourite.
Yeah, well, that's good for you. But yeah, so yeah, oysters, they're a big one for zinc.
Yeah. Sardines.
Yeah, beautiful. And your calcium as well. So calcium and magnesium go nicely together for the nervous system. So with your sardines, with the little bones that are there, you're getting a good calcium source as well.
Yeah. And a bit of organic organ meat as well can be really beneficial.
Yeah.
If you can't quite stomach it, then usually what I say to people is freeze it and then grate it into your food, so that way you can't really tell.
Yeah, nice. That's a good tip. Yeah. Any other big ones you can think of?
Iron,
yes, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that comes in your, definitely high sources in your organ meats.
Yeah.
But then also in all your, like you're saying, leafy greens, nuts and seeds, meat,
yeah.
all of those sources. And so you need plenty of vitamin C to absorb that. And you need a good, healthy working digestive system.
Yeah.
Similarly, people who have haemochromatosis, they can actually get anxiety issues when the iron's out of balance. So you don't want to play around with your iron if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know if you have haemochromatosis or not.
Yeah, and also if you don't, when people come in and they're taking iron but they don't actually know whether they have low iron or not, it's just, a friend at work's taking iron and they feel really good.
Yeah.
You really do need to know what your iron is doing, whether you have not enough or too much. So, yeah, very important to get tested.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of other nutrients involved, which, again, you don't have to stress about. It's like your choline and your vitamin D, your vitamin E, carnitine, lipoic acid, all of those lovely things.
Yeah. And again, a balanced diet. So if we look at our plate, maybe have, if we eat meat or have legumes, we have some leafy green veggies. If we're having a salad, we chuck an egg on there, have some nuts and seeds as a snack. Have a couple of pieces of fruit a day, then we can be pretty confident that we're getting what we need through our diet.
Yeah. Seafood 3 times a week, yeah. I like, and then you're getting your good DHA, EPA balance, omega-3s. Talking about vitamin C as well, it just makes me think again about the adrenal glands and how important they are in our health.
Yeah.
And they produce your adrenaline, your noradrenaline, your epinephrine, and the norepinephrine works on our sympathetic nerves. It increases our heart rate, our blood pressure, increases our lipid breakdown, and causes peripheral vasoconstriction. And epinephrine works out of the adrenal medulla. So it does all of those other things that the norepinephrine does, but as well, it breaks down our muscle glycogen into glucose, and it can cause these coronary and bronchial dilations as well. One of the things, if we've got these chronic stress happening, then the hormones that actually promote our muscle and our bone growth and having high cortisol, that can increase our insulin levels. Insulin on its own can be anabolic for both fat and muscle, but when it's associated with high cortisol, then it places preference on just storing fat rather than building up muscle as well. So for people who are chronically stressed and they're trying to lose weight, then that's one of those reasons why you just can't seem to get the benefits from your exercise. The other thing is that when you're chronically stressed, these hormones will actually suppress your immune system and reduce your ability to heal from injuries and chronic injuries. So chronic stress, it leads to an impaired negative feedback of our HPA axis, a slower recovery from stresses, and to either higher or lower cortisol levels. So low cortisol levels can lead to symptoms of inflammation or fatigue. High cortisol and catecholamines and they're linked with depression. So what sort of symptoms would you be looking for in adrenal fatigue if you're presented with that in clinic?
Often it's people who wake up feeling exhausted. So that's a big sign when they wake up tired in the morning. Brain fog, just not feeling very sharp. When I think nervous, I'm looking at people in clinic, I'm thinking nervous system stress and thinking adrenal fatigue. Nervous system stress, for me, I think of someone who's vibrating really fast, and then adrenal fatigue is just exhausted, but they might have really quick reflexes. So it's that tired and wired. They're I'm so knackered, but I'm kind of on at the same time.
Yeah, I actually see that same situation. So the people who are running on their reserves, like they're running on the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that's where I look at using more of your nervine herbs, your neurotransmitter balancing herbs. And then when you get into the more adrenal fatigue, that's when you go in with your adrenal herbs. And so that would be things like your salt and your sugar cravings, and like you were saying as well, that unrefreshed feeling in the morning, unexplained fatigue and weakness, even unexplained hypotension or low blood pressure.
Yes.
You can do a little bit of a test where you can take your blood pressure sitting and then take your blood pressure standing up, as like you can easily do this at home, and your blood pressure should actually, your systolic blood pressure should raise by about 10 points. So if it stays the same, or even if it drops, then you know that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you do the salivary testing in your clinic for the adrenal fatigue?
I do.
Yeah.
Although it is a bit pricey, so I don't do it for everyone.
Yeah.
I usually do it if I'm not sure, or if it's going to be affecting what I treat. Whereas I can always tell.
You can tell on symptoms, absolutely, and I'm the same. I don't like making people spend money unnecessarily, so I usually do it based on symptoms. We can pick it up pretty easily. But yeah, it's for the people that some people like to see test results, and it helps them to be compliant. So I guess then it comes in handy for those people as well.
Yeah, definitely agree. Like if you need to have that confirmation for yourself, and the money isn't an issue, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it can be helpful as well when you're in that in-between stage, because there's different treatments for high cortisol to low cortisol.
Yeah.
So if you're not really sure, then you can do the test. And then it's also a good way of monitoring your responses. So you might want to do it again in 3 months or even a month if you can, and then see how much you've improved to see if you're responding to the treatment.
Yes, that it is a nice marker. So you can actually, people know from their symptoms. As soon as that brain fog lifts and you wake up in the morning awake, then your adrenals are working again.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is always a nice feeling.
So what are some ways that you would recommend that people deal with adrenal fatigue in their lifestyle and their diet?
Yeah. So for adrenal fatigue, it's really, for me, I find that it's important to really try and get my patients to take some of the pressure off themselves. So, like we said before, for people who are doing CrossFit or really high intensity exercise, they need to give that a little rest for a while and switch to something like, if they need to be active, yoga is, it's so restorative for the adrenals. So that's very, very important when it comes to exercise. Again, just nourishing themselves with good foods, good quality fats, good quality proteins, reducing adrenal fatigue very closely interlinked with insulin resistance. So we really want to get the sugar down in the diet. And, people with adrenal fatigue often do crave the sugars to give themselves a boost. So we want to try and manage that and get simple sugars out of the diet. Coffee is another big one, unfortunately, for adrenal fatigue. Coffee is not the friend because it does get that racy feeling going. It's getting that adrenaline going often, and we're trying to give the body a break so that it can build the adrenal glands back up again. So we really want to take those stimulants out, and we want to just be really, really nourishing. And I always think with adrenal fatigue, it's just like we just want to give ourselves a big cuddle We just be really loving to ourselves, and everything's got to be nourishing and yeah, like having a big cuddle from your mum. And that we know that makes us feel good, right?
Of course. And hugs are actually a really great way of relieving stress.
Oh, I love a good hug.
Yeah, so hugs are so great, and they help with boosting your oxytocin as well, which is one of those other beautiful hormones that you get, which makes you just feel so loved and nurtured. Normally, you get the oxytocin when you've just had a baby, like that's what people know about it from. But you can actually stimulate your oxytocin levels anytime. So they did a study, and they actually found that these people who got hugs from their mums, they saw decreased cortisol levels for a whole hour after they did that.
How good is that? That is so nice. So we need to all go around hugging each other.
Yes, particularly your mum. Hug your mum if you can.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
even your dog, or sorry, your pet.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, again, see, there's that evidence with the hugs, and then things like meditation. There's been studies that have shown that meditation increases the neurotransmitters. So it increases your dopamine and your serotonin. So meditation makes you happy. So these, this is stress and adrenal fatigue. If we can start doing yoga and we can start meditating, and I know a lot of people struggle with meditation. They just don't know how to meditate. It is a really hard one to learn. So I usually get people to start off with things like yoga and just mindfulness. So, I'll say to people, while you're brushing your teeth, think about the fact that you're brushing your teeth. Just be in that moment. Or while you're putting your shoes on, be in that moment. I did a meditation retreat at the Nantian Temple in Wollongong once, and they were just teaching us mindfulness. When you take your shoes off properly and put your shoelaces inside your shoes and do everything in a mindful way, and actually think about what you're doing. Where we just get home and kick our shoes off and don't even think about it, and we're brushing our teeth and we're thinking about what we need to do tomorrow. So if we can just try and be where we are, then that's a meditation. So we can actually affect our neurotransmitters by being in the moment and by doing that mindfulness meditation. There are also some really great apps that you can follow. So I am not so great at just meditating on my own. I need to do guided meditations. So you can get, I think there's an app called Headspace. There's yoga apps as well that you can get on your iPad, so you can do it at home and follow along with those. There's also a great YouTube video, I think it's called 1 Minute Meditation or 1 Minute Mindfulness, and it's a little cartoon man, and he sits at his desk and he does a 1 minute meditation, so you can do it along with him. So you don't have to start off by doing half-hour meditations. You can just start simply like that. And the other thing that I do with my patients is breathing exercises. So I get them to do alternate nostril breathing, which it's a yogi practice, but you cover, we probably need to do a video for this one, but you cover one nostril and you breathe in through that one, and then you cover the other one and uncover the first one, and you breathe out through the other side. And so you can find these videos on YouTube, but you sit there and you breathe in and out through the alternating nostrils, and that actually does help to nourish the adrenals back up again. And I think of it as a meditation, because while you're doing it, you're in the moment and you're thinking about your breathing, and that's all you're really concentrating on.
That's really good. That's there's lots of different breathing techniques that you can do, but I think the core thing with all of them is that you are focusing on your breathing, so you're present, but you're also breathing less. Mm. And I think when a lot of people are over breathing, and so when you're over breathing, like it's that's that stress, your nervous system actually gets stressed from that. And so if you breathe less and you breathe longer and slower, then what you're doing is you are lowering your oxygen levels, but it's actually sending a message to your brain to say, I'm calm now.
Yes. And that's what we need to do. We need to, because of our lifestyles and how fast-paced it is, and that, we may not think we're stressed, but we are, like our lifestyles are stressing our bodies out. We need to take those the steps to tell our bodies, no, we're not stressed. Everything's okay. You don't need to be producing these stress hormones. You don't need to be on high alert. We're okay. So, yeah, just actually concentrating on your breathing. And again, when we were talking about the digestion before, like sitting and taking a few deep breaths before you eat can switch your body out of that fight or flight mode and into the rest and digest mode, so that we can actually digest our food.
And mindful eating as well is beneficial, which is where you actually concentrating of the feeling of the food in your mouth and the stretching of your jaw muscle and the taste of the food.
Yeah. And tasting your food, chewing your food.
Yes.
Which, if you try and chew your food 20 times, you realize that really we often just chew our food 3 times and swallow it. Like, we really need to get into chewing our food and tasting our food, and even sitting at the dinner table and switching the TV off and sitting down and eating your food, having a meal where that's the event. That's what you're doing. You're actually having your meal.
It's so important. If I could get people to do just one thing for their digestion, it would probably be to chew.
Yes. Yeah. And do you find that they find it hard? I find that people they find it really hard to switch into that.
They forget. That's what I find.
Yeah. Yeah, because that mindfulness.
Yep.
Or lack of. Yeah. It's reprogramming. So another really thinking about the neurotransmitters and the stress response and the fact that, we're often in that fight or flight mode. Another great thing to try and do is to just try and change the way we think about situations. So if we can try and if we can think happy, then we can make ourselves happy. Like, if we can try and make ourselves see good and happiness in situations, then it kind of will start to make us happier. So things like if you're stuck in a traffic jam, you can have, Sally in car 1 and Bob in car 2, and Bob might be getting really angry about the traffic jam and getting really furious, and, his stress hormones are going up, and he's getting really, really mad and red in the face, and his breathing is shallow, and, he's like a heart attack waiting to happen. And then you've got Sally in the other car, and she's got her favorite music cranking, and she's happy and she's singing, and she's taking the traffic jam as an opportunity to be happy. And she doesn't have to be at work right now. She's sitting in traffic listening to music, and so she's making those happy hormones in the body and neurotransmitters in the body, and she's in the exact same situation as he is, but she's seeing it through different eyes. And I think that that's something that we really need to start trying to do, because you might be in the car with Bob and you're feeding off his energy and you're getting really angry with him. But if you got out of the car and got into the car with Sally, you'll start singing with her and you'll become happy with her. So if we can try and switch ourselves out of the stressed moments and just try and see it as an opportunity or a happy moment, I think that would be really great for our bodies as well. But where we used to back in the olden days, where we could be living our lives and slip into that stress response when we needed to, where it was useful, now we've just got it switched on all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's learning to switch it off. I think that's the important one, that we've got to learn how to switch the stress response off.
And so, like you were saying before, like the mindfulness exercises, the breathing exercises, all of that is so helpful. Yeah. And then there's a few other ones that I really like as well, which is regular gratitude practice.
Yeah.
And so that can just be focusing on the positive things. So it's similar to what we've been doing with the mindfulness, where you're bringing yourself into that time. And it's also that positive thinking as well. So first thing you do when you get up in the morning is you think about what you're grateful for, and then the last thing you do at night is you think about what you're grateful for. And that can be the people in your life or your accomplishments, and you can reframe negative experiences into gratitude as well, because anytime you fail, that's an experience that you've learned from and that you've been able to grow from.
Mm-hmm. And I like to, when people are first starting to do gratitude practices, I get them to write each night 3 things that they're grateful for from that day.
Nice, like a little prayer.
Yeah. And then you've got this little gratitude journal that it can make you realize what good is in your life, and like you said, it's reframing. You're reframing the day. You're looking at the day and going, okay, what are 3 great things that happened today? And it could just be that the sun came out, and the sun, you walked down the street and you felt the sun on your face. It doesn't have to be, anything crazy. You don't have to win the lottery. It's just taking, the finding something that you're really grateful for in the everyday.
Exactly. Like that feeling of the sun on your back. It's always such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are some really great examples of ways that you can start managing stress with your lifestyle. So we've covered, so your mindfulness, meditation, gratitude practice, just being in the moment, because it's when you're in the past or when you're in the future, that's when worry happens. Whereas if you're in the present, then that's when you can be the happiest.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone's going to have stress. Like, we're not in denial about that or anything like that. It's just that it's how you deal with the stress, and it's actively trying to rephrase your ways of thinking, and you're supporting your body with your diet and supporting your body with nutrients and herbs if need be, can have such a big impact on the way that's affecting the rest of your body. Because if you keep your stress levels under control, then you're less likely to have that flow on issues with your thyroid and your reproductive hormones, all these things that stress can have such a huge impact on, which we don't want it to happen, because if your stress is let go really, really severe, then that can be very, very serious consequences. Just talking about herbs, of course, I always like to finish with talking about what our favourite herbs for stress are. So what would yours be?
I love oats. Like we mentioned before, passion flower. So passion flower I really, really love. I use it a lot in sleep mixes, but for some people, it's beneficial during the day as well. So it is a very, very calming herb. So, it's really nice for helping people to get to sleep. I always say to people, the sleep herbs, they don't knock you out like, maybe a sleeping tablet will. They calm your nervous system, they calm your body so that you can naturally fall to sleep. I like lemon balm as well, and chamomile. So lemon balm and chamomile I often use for people who the stress impacts their digestive system. So it helps to relax them and help their digestive system to work better.
Which is so often the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lavender. I know some naturopaths don't like to use lavender in the liquid because of the taste, but I really like, that tea stress tea. I love the flavour of lavender, and I like it in herb mixes, and that's beautiful for the nervous system.
I was pretty nervous about trying that tea stress tea because I know how bad lavender tastes.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it in the tea.
Oh, good.
But I still don't really like it in the liquids, like in the tinctures.
Yeah, you have to use only a little bit when you do it. When I do it in liquids, I use a very small amount in a bottle of herbs.
Yeah.
So it doesn't overpower. But then, yeah, I guess it's taste preference.
Yeah, I usually blend it with a little bit of glycerol or like some extra flavouring mix.
Yeah, no, I'm mean. I don't. I'm mean when it comes to herbs. I just tell people to suck it up.
I try and suss out how much people can handle. If they can handle the strong tastes, then they won't get the flavouring added, because then that makes room for other good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. If you use the flavouring mixes, like, that's what I think. You're wasting space.
Exactly.
So they're the nervous system herbs I use. What about for you, nervous system herbs? What am I missing?
Well, I would probably say that withania is one of my favourites.
Yes, me too.
It's a calming adaptogen. So, and the adaptogens are so smart. They know what your body needs. So, like, if you need to rest, they will make you rest. Yeah. But not to the extent that's going to knock you out. But they're going to be like, just go to bed now, all right?
Yeah.
And withania is so good for supporting the whole nervous system as a whole, as well as your immune system and your stress levels and your mood and your hormones. And it's a great, just general tonic. But I do love passion flower. I definitely agree with you there. I also love chamomile because it's anti-inflammatory as well. And a lot of people with depression have that inflammation side of things going on. And I'm getting into holy basil.
Me too. I'm just getting into that as well.
Yeah. It's good at promoting that sense of well-being.
Makes you happy. I love it. It's great. Yeah. And that's the teas as well, the Tulsi teas.
Yes.
Yeah, they're nice.
So, yeah, I'm excited to use more of that. Sometimes I have used saffron, but it's such an expensive herb that I don't use it a huge amount, but I find that it's really beautiful for grief. But it's also a great male tonic as well.
Yeah. And with back to withania, I know I know when we learned herbs, we were taught that motherwort was like having a mother's hug, but withania, when we were talking about the mother's hug before, that's what I think of withania as having a big cuddle. It gives you that feeling that having a big cuddle gives you.
Yeah, I know. I actually remember being told that about the motherwort in uni. And then one of my other girlfriends, Laura Grace Harrison from Chamomile Naturopathy, she was talking about using it with hawthorn for that extra hug, that like heartfelt hug.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So I love that sort of thought as well.
Yeah. A hug in a bottle.
Yes.
Yeah. And then with the I think you've done the thyroid adrenal podcast, but obviously licorice as well is another big one when we're thinking about the adrenals.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you could. In these segments, it's so hard to not list every single herb.
Yeah.
Because I love all my herbs.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's the synergistic qualities of the herb. So one herb doesn't just do one thing. Like passion flower is not just for sleep. You know, they do so many different things, and then when you blend them together, it increases their actions and it makes them work even better. It's such a beautiful modality, herbal medicine.
I love it. So, are you off to clinic after this?
I am, yeah. Yep, off to St Leonards today.
Oh, fair enough.
And you're in clinic?
Yes, I'm in Bella Vista today.
Awesome.
And always got a full day coming up, so that's good.
Good. It can be a bit quiet this time of year, I find, with school holidays. So if you've got a nice busy day, you're doing well.
And then I will see you on Thursday.
Yes.
Where we have there's a seminar we're both attending on cardiovascular health, or natural support for cardiovascular health, which will be good.
In the beautiful Blue Mountains too. So
yeah.
It'll be chilly. Make sure you wrap up warm.
Oh, yes, definitely. And then on Friday, I'm taking a bit of time off because Tim's on school holidays, so we're going to just have a bit of a trek around Lura and go bushwalking and explore the falls in that area and eat at some of the beautiful cafes there. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, nice. I'm kidnapping my sister and taking her up, so we'll probably we'll more than likely see you.
Yeah, wow, I hope so.
yeah, but yeah, it should be nice. And see, we're practicing what we preach. We're taking some de-stress time.
That's it.
High five.
Yes. Awesome. So thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you have a great day at clinic today, and I look forward to catching up with you on Thursday.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So thanks for listening, everyone. If anyone wants to get in contact with Laura, you can do so via her website, which is www.burtonhealth.com.au, and you can find me on naturopathnsw.com.au. If anyone has any questions for the next podcast, please feel free to submit them. We love answering questions, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.